Inside of this case is something where I've tried a lot of different versions of, and if you're into iPhone filmmaking, you're gonna wanna see this. Foam. Just kidding. Portable SSD for iPhone. Michael, really? Again, another one of these? But this, what is being called Minimax Portable SSD by a company called 𝗦𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙. Name's irrelevant because the product's cool. Is the first one of these portable SSDs where I feel like they went through every comment section and said, how can we create a product that answers all of these wants? So inside the case here, we of course have the portable SSD, which we'll dive into. We have not a 180, but 90-degree USB-C adapter. And this one I think is helpful mostly if you're like using this with your MacBook Pro, because the downside to SSDs like this is obviously the USB-C port is right there. And if I stick this into the side of my MacBook, the opposing sides are going to be covering up my other ports. And so this allows you to plug into your MacBook, take up one slot, and then have the SSD on top like this. And then you still have your other ports on either side. So this one I'm not really using with my phone too much, but handy for other devices. So one of the cool things is that this is a MagSafe SSD. And I just did a video on another SSD a number of weeks ago that was also MagSafe. But one of the things that I can't stand that every SSD has come out with, and I have given the feedback to every single portable SSD company that I've talked to, is they're all using some variation of this cable right here, which means I have to plug this in the bottom, and then you put that up top, and then you attach it to the bottom there. This not only uncomfortable to hold, but potentially breaking point. There's gotta be something better. They are the first company that I've seen to include a perfectly sized right angle USB-C cable. So if you have the Pro Max version of the iPhone, then you'll want the longer one, and they have a shorter one for the regular one. Not one cable that's trying to fit both sizes, so then it's not optimal for whichever phone you have. So as I mentioned, I have the Pro Max here, and I guess first I can attach it to this. It also creates like a nice seal, and I can tell you this works with cases. This is that Taurus case I reviewed a number of months ago. This is not the thinnest case I've ever had. It's not like an OtterBox or anything, but it is a touch thicker than I would say like the stock Apple case. This will still work, and so I can push this on the bottom, and look at that, right on the MagSafe. Oh, no crazy cable, very, very minimal across the bottom. So now when I'm filming horizontally, my hand doesn't have to like go through a cable like this. Now, obviously at this point, you can see the other standout feature of this SSD. It's got a screen on the back. So in a state of non-recording, you're gonna get how much wattage, voltage, and ampage it's pulling. On the left-hand side, you can see that it's a 10 gigabit per second card. So on this SSD, you'll get about 1,000 megabytes per second, both read and write. And while this variant is a 1 terabyte version, there's also a 2 terabyte option. So in the Blackmagic camera app on my phone, I have it set to record to the SSD. So as soon as I hit record here, we'll see this information change from that to still how much wattage is being pulled. So we can see 1.7 watts. We're also getting our read and write speed. Now, obviously I'm recording right now, so our read speed is 0, but we can see that I'm pulling about 18, 19, it's fluctuating in real time, but let's just say around 20 megabytes per second, filming in ProRes LT. And if I were to go in and stop recording here, and I go to my media page to hit playback, now we can see our read speed is around 20 megabytes per second. I think the other situation that they've been listening to people's feedback and people's worries with recording for long periods of time on an iPhone to an SSD on the back is when it comes to heat. So this actually has a built-in physical fan that you can see exhaust ports on either side. This is going to drastically improve the performance of the SSD, keeping it consistent with its reads and writes, because what happens is a lot of times you'll get an SSD, you'll hook it up, and if you do like a performance test, a read and write speed test, it will perform great. But if you let that test keep going, aka recording for long periods of time, after about 5 to 10 minutes, that SSD is going to start to heat up dramatically, causing the performance to dip. Having a physical fan that's going to help push out the heat and keep the temperature of the SSD pretty cool is going to greatly improve the reliability of the SSD. Now, before we get to the other great design feature of this SSD, I do want to point out the only con that I have found. And for me, that is this little light right here. It's an RGB light that, as you can see throughout this video, is just randomly kind of cycling through the colors. But I have given them the feedback already that, like, hey, if you can, one, have the option for it to be turned off entirely, because there are situations where you're recording in either a dark environment and you don't want this light spilling onto other things. Maybe you don't want to just draw attention to like your iPhone recording and this is just like a cool RGB show going on. Now, since the light is here, I will say that it does have some nice added functionality to it. See, I'm always recording using the rear cameras. And one of the scary things anytime I have an SSD or recording internally is I never really know if it's still recording. You know, did my finger accidentally hit the pause button on the back? Did someone call me and it turned off the recording? Although these RGB colors are random right now when the SSD isn't doing anything, as soon as I hit record, it goes to this kind of blue teal color and it will stay this color, telling me that I am recording. I'm also seeing my write speeds as we talked about earlier. So these are two great ways that also help me to know that I am indeed recording on the back and I don't have to worry if it's still recording or not. And then as soon as I stop my recording, it goes back to doing random colors. So I would like to have a little bit more control. I don't need a whole app that allows me to like do a bunch of stuff. Just like if I could tap on it to just like turn it off or something, that would be awesome. Now, for the last bit of the design that answers a lot of people's asks when it comes to SSDs is we do have a pass-through USB-C port on the bottom, or in this orientation, top. This is something that with the Lexar SSD, while great, you have to add the whole hub interface to get an extra SSD, where here it's built in. And this gives you all the functionality that you could want. It's not just a charging only, although a lot of people love to use these pass-through ports so that they can plug in a battery bank and have infinite power and keep your phone and everything charged. That obviously works, it works great, but I have tested this also does work with wireless mics. So if you have the DJI mic, the Rode Wireless Pros, whatever USB-C mic you are connecting it to, you can plug it in here, go into the Blackmagic camera app, change your audio settings, and you can have a pretty professional setup. I've tried it with my Rode Wireless Pros. Let's see the DJI mic. I'm sure that looks super clean. Oh my gosh, if this doesn't block the camera and it actually stays right here. Yo, look at that. Look how clean this is. Now, obviously does it, dang. Oh man, you guys know what I'm gonna say. It is too close to the lens itself. It does go in there. How much do I have to zoom in? Anyone using the 2x crop, the 2x mode on the main camera, that does clear it. But this is the first time I've had a kind of rigless, no cage, no, you know, quarter 20s or magnets from other places having to mount. Guys, this is beautiful. Okay, so here's the workaround, is if you go to the ultra wide lens and then zoom in 0.7x. Let's see, is this still a good like vlogging setup? Yeah, that's still quite wide. You can see a lot of yourself. See what the quality is looking like, because it's the ultra wide, but we're cropped in a little bit. I don't know how I feel about that, but who knows? Maybe this looks pretty good. What do you guys think? All right, last one. Now, but see, when you have image stabilization, it pops back in. So I'm gonna turn image stabilization off. We have to crop. 1.5 is the minimum we can do. Let's see what we're looking like here. Yeah, see, it's pretty tight. I gotta extend my arm out quite a bit. Editor Michael here. If you really want to clear that main censored lens, what you can do if you have the Pro Max is nix the Pro Max cable, grab the shorter cable. The only downside, of course, is the SSD isn't going to reach the best spot for the MagSafe to attach. So if you flop the phone around a lot, the mic and SSD will kind of move about. But if you don't mind kind of just holding it in place a little bit, then you can get this setup to work without interfering with any of the lenses. I still love the Rode Wireless Pro sound more, but I know I always use the DJI mic for thumbnails because of its cableless design and setup. It's so clean. So I think I gotta start using this DJI mic more, and some people have said since some firmware updates, it sounds a lot better. Of course, I would love to hear what you guys think about the Minimax SSD down in the comments below. If you wanna learn more about it, check out the information in the description, and at the time of this recording, this is brand new, not even to market yet. I don't know if it's gonna be on a website, on Amazon or whatever, but of course all the finalized information will be down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.